Hey guys, I want to welcome you to another YouTube clip. We've been doing a series here, and the series is called Personal Transformation. We've been trying to get ourselves into a place where our lives can be transformed into a life of beauty, of happiness, of joy, of comfort, of knowing where we're going and what we're going after. So we've been looking at our lives as being born into this world as a piece of hardware. We are like a computer system born into this world that needs to be transformed, needs to be programmed into something that can be beautiful and operate in a proper way. But what happens a lot of times, we get programmed wrong. And a lot of this we can see by the way our operating system works. You know, if we're suffering with anxieties and depression and anger and various sorts of things, we can look and be rest assured that we are not programmed properly. And that's where the Bible talks about us needing to have the proper programming. And this lesson we're going to be talking about is looking back. 2.21. This is an upgrade in a system, hopefully to give you an understanding of what you can do in your life to develop yourself, maybe allow yourself to be reprogrammed in an area of your life to see things in a different way. But the scripture we use is in Romans chapter 12, verses 1 through 2. And it says, "Therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, being by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and well-pleasing to God, which is your reasonable act of worship. And to be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by progressively changing and renewing of your mind, so that you prove what the will of God is for you, that good and acceptable and perfect will of God for you." So Paul is talking a long time ago about the fact that we need to be renewed. We need to have a different way of looking at life. And what we're going to do today is we're going to get into some understandings that will hopefully help you see things in a different light and hopefully help you program yourself, because I find that the Word is a very powerful tool. Once you allow it to be placed inside your life, it transforms you. It helps you see things in a totally different way. And we're going to try to do that today, and hopefully you can see great changes in your life. But I've got a quote here from Jen Gottlieb. It says, "Cannot connect the dots going forward, but you can looking back." And it's an interesting quote here, because we're talking about looking back as our program. And when we look back, we can connect the dots. We can understand a little bit why we're here and what we're doing, and good or bad, we can connect some dots. Going forward, we can plan, we can say, hey, this is what I want, but we can't connect the dots yet because we haven't got there yet. You know, so we're going to take a real look at things and try to get an understanding, because we got some different areas that I want to approach today. And that's where I want to say, all you have to do is look back to see where you are. All you have to do is look back to see where you are right now. Your behavior 60 or 90 days ago produces the life you are living right now. So, you know, if there's something in your life that you appreciate, you can look back 60 or 90 days and say, you know, this is what I was doing, and, you know, this is why I appreciate what I have. Or if I'm not satisfied, whatever it might be in my life, I can look back 60 or 90 days and say, you know what? If I was doing the right thing back then, I'd probably be satisfied right now. See, when you fall back into trouble, you just need to look back. You just need to look back, and 90 days from now, you're going to read today's news. You know, basically, what are you doing today? Because 90 days from now, you're going to look back and say, hey, you know what? What I was doing that day was the start of something. You know, and it progressed. And here I am 90 days later, and look at me now. Look at what I have achieved in life, because I have started today doing something. And that's where we're not only looking back, we can look back to see what's not working and what we should have been doing 60 or 90 days ago. But we are going to say, I'm putting a plan together today to improve something, so that 60 or 90 days from now, I will be a totally different me. Because God has given us the ability to change that way. I know when I was young, back when I was late teens, early 20s, I used to smoke. And I smoked, you know, maybe up to a pack a day. I smoked, and I played basketball, and I decided to quit because I was getting winded on the court. So I did. I quit. I managed to quit. But they say that somebody that's a smoker, if they quit smoking, within a year or two, the lungs completely re-heal themselves. So God has created us in a way that we can become new again, become new in whatever area it might be. And He wants us to step out and do that. And that's where winners keep making the right deposits. They're doing the right things. They keep making right deposits for someday there will be a withdrawal. So you make the right deposits, and someday you can make good positive withdrawals from whatever you did. Your past doesn't make your future, but your deposits today do. The nice thing is that you can decide what type of deposits you want to make. So your past, a lot of times people will look at their past and say, oh, my future is going to be terrible because of my past. We're not designed to change. If we make the right deposits today, we can leave the past behind us. We can have a beautiful future, but we have to make the right decisions today. And the beautiful thing is we get to decide what type of life we want, what type of relationships we want, what type of jobs or what we want to see accomplished in our life. We get to decide all those things. It amazes me sometimes in a short period of time what can be accomplished. I know I helped my son build a garage. And it was, probably it took us maybe a month and a half. It was from the slab up, it was thick. I didn't do a lot of the lifting or anything, but I was a cutter. I was a good cutter. They'd tell me what size board they needed. I could cut it to size. I'd hand it to them. But it amazed me because within probably a month and a half, he had a complete garage. Doors on it, it was sided, the roof was done, everything was completed on this thing. And what really got me on this is the fact that he worked a full-time job and he did all the things he always did, and he yet built a garage in 30 days. So it tells me a little bit what can be accomplished in a person's life in 30 to 90 days, or whatever it takes, by doing something right now and starting it and getting it rolling. And that's where we decide. We decide what type of future we want. And God has created us so that we can be developed and we can achieve great things by making the deposits. Every day a little deposit. All of our actions will echo into eternity long after we're gone. So everything we do in eternity of life, they're going to be out there echoing, saying what we decided to do in our lifetime to achieve. The question is, will the echo be a whisper or will it be a roar? Will your life speak something loudly to people around you and everything that's happening, or will it just be a whisper? I've just lived life and I all of a sudden passed on, and this and that happened to me and I just shut myself down. Or I'm going to pick myself up and say, hey, you know what? I am going to make something of my life. That's where we're born to roar in life, and we've been taught to whisper. We've been born to make a statement of our life, but a lot of our life says, you just be quiet, Don. Don't speak too loudly. Don't ruffle any feathers or whatever it might be. A lot of times in life, people need to be shook up, and there needs to be a roar. And sometimes when people will pick themselves up and start doing something, and applying themselves and making the right deposits and becoming better and better at it every day, all of a sudden their life starts to roar, and other people are saying, hey, I know this guy. Look what's happening in his life, his or her life. It's the same thing that can happen in your life. And that's where looking back and trying to realize that that's a process that brought you where you're at today, but it's a process that can change by doing the right things going forward. What you invest in helping your families and friends is part of your roar. What you do to help your relationship or help your family and friends and the people around you is part of your roar. The best thing you can do is become something developed in a good, positive way. And there again, you start today, 60 or 90 days down the line, people are going to start to take notice because you are starting to make some noises. And we struggle in life because we live in an immediate gratification society. That's the deal with life. You can get so much instantly. True success, though, takes time. It isn't something that it just happens. It takes time to make, and we struggle with that. Many get themselves into trouble because they can't wait. It's something, I just can't wait. You can't wait 90 days. You want it right now. So if something isn't happening in your life, like say tomorrow, you can get all excited about something that's being spoken today, but if didn't happen, and tomorrow comes along, or a week from now. I've done different things because you don't see the progress. You say, I'm going to give up on this. You don't want to do that. The fact is, there's diet programs sometimes. I read this, where people found out what they needed to do, but it took them like maybe a couple of months before they started seeing results. And then they seen results. All of a sudden their body was, getting to where it needed to be, but it didn't happen up front. And a lot of people can't wait that long. That's where success is sometimes a slow cooker, but we expect it to be a microwave. We expect the things we do to see immediately. A lot of times this takes time. I know I worked with a guy one time that told me, he says, I can't go into a car lot because every time he went into a car lot, guess what happened? He came out with a different car. He said, this has cost me way too much money to go into car lots. So he said, Don, I realize when car lots are there, I drive by. I want to drive a car for a couple of years because this is costing me money. And I know someone else had told me, I used to deliver a paper called the Bargain Bulletin. And what it would be is anybody had anything to sell, they would put it in the Bargain Bulletin. And once a week, we'd deliver this thing and people would buy things. And it was good, help people to get rid of their products. But I had one individual who says, I can't read a Bargain Bulletin. Because he says, I'll always find a bargain. I'll always be buying something. And a lot of times I don't even need it. And that's where we live in an instant gratification society. And the principles we're talking about here are not something that you're going to see happen tomorrow, maybe the end of next week. It's probably going to be somewhere down the future, but you have to start someplace. And you have to realize what you decide today is what's going to dictate 90 days what you did. And that's where in 90 days from now, you can look back at today and say, either I've gone and progressed something positively, or I'm stuck right where I was, no changes at all, or, or I got myself, it was a bad habit 90 days ago, I didn't change anything. Now I'm sitting here still with that bad habit. I could have been freed of that sort of thing. Successful people realize this process and they put things into works as fast as they can. There is a delayed consequence for everything we do. Yeah, everything we do has its consequences. The food you eat today can have its consequences in the future. That big old cake and that ice cream or whatever it might be, it tastes so good today, and you say, well, it's just one day. You're not going to wake up and then tomorrow look differently and stuff. No, it's not going to happen. But what it does, it gives you a process, a habit, a way of eating that 90 days from now, you're going to look back at yourself. I see no changes. I wanted to lose weight, but nothing happened. Why? Because I failed to realize those little deposits are what get us. The little deposits we made. What you have today can be the results of what you did not do 90 days ago. And if I could have turned something away and said, I'm not going to do this or whatever it might be, 90 days from now, I'm saying, whoa, things are happening in my life. And that's where we need to realize there are consequences for everything we do. It can be good consequences or it can be bad. It doesn't matter, But this is just the way God has made life. We need to realize in life, we can come to God and we can realize that God is real and we really want Him in our life and help us and all that. But we need to realize sometimes that the equipment that He has made for us, understanding how we work and how we operate, how we can program ourselves to realize that, if I want something good in my life in the future, it starts today. It starts in the moment. And we make a decision and we make sure that every moment we stick with what we're planning to do. And it's little deposits. It isn't big stuff. It isn't like saying, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to work out for 4 hours a day because I read an article saying this is good and I'll lose all this weight. No, sometimes we just need to show up at the gym. That's my deposit for the day. My next deposit might be showing up at the gym and walking on a treadmill for 15 minutes. My deposit. But I continue to make deposits. And sometimes I expand these deposits as time goes on. It becomes easier. I develop habits. and pretty soon I'm doing what I needed to do. In 90 days from now, I'm saying, hey, you know what? I feel different. I got more energy. I'm looking better. Everything seems to be going for me because I started that day and realized that I'm not looking back, because looking back, I say, well, yeah, I didn't do this and didn't do that. Some people say I could never do this. That's not true. You can do it. You really can. But you convince yourself of this. You develop an identity of I can't do this. Don't do that. Realize that if you want something, you need to start making deposit. And that's where I must know if I don't do the right things now, there will be a price to pay. There's always a payoff for everything we do. And if we do the right things, we can get good payoffs. I know myself, I try to bring things into my life. I love to read books, and I read my Bible every day, and I read certain books and stuff. I do deposits. Everything I listen to, everything I read, it's a deposit. I try to put positive in me and try to develop myself, my way of thinking, so I can do what I'm doing here right now, but it helps me to grow. So I can say, 90 days from now, where do I want to be? What do I want to achieve? What do I want to see done in a positive way? I know that I need to start doing it right now. I need to get working on this. I know we're looking at we usually go to Florida during the wintertime. We got like 90 days. So I say to myself, in Florida, what do I want to see at the end of those 90 days? I need to make deposits on all that. And if you keep planting, eventually things are going to happen. And that's where when something is working in our life, we need to pour the gas to keep it going. If something positive is happening in your life, you need to pour everything into it to keep that going. You must get in the drill of deposit, and never quitting. Because a lot of times what people will do is they will reach success and think they can stop. That just sucks the life out of me to say it. They think they can stop. You can't stop on life. That's the beauty and the harm of life, is when you stop, others pass you up and you start to digress. It's like a stream of water, and you're working your way to the goal of the end of the stream or the end of life. You got to keep paddling and finding better ways to paddle and achieve better things, because you can't quit on life. And deposits are the key. That doesn't have to be huge things, as we said, but there needs to be deposit there every day. You need to find ways of doing things, changing your habits. I know I've talked about changing habits with my grandchildren, and I say, a lot of people say they don't have time for anything. Well, can you get up 10 minutes early or 5 minutes early? What can you do in 5 minutes? I bet you can make your bed in less than 5 minutes. So if you have problems making your bed, 5 minutes early, get up, make your bed. You still got your full day in front of you. Eventually, you won't, that 5 minutes, it'll be 10 minutes. Eventually, you'll be getting up a half hour early, and you'll be doing this, making deposits in your life. And this is where successful people succeed. And I must know that if I do the right things, things will happen in my life. And that's where I need to realize that. And that's where I keep planting, like we're doing right now. You plant seeds. You plant seeds of thought into yourself. You say, I don't get the results, but you have to have faith, and that's what faith is. A lot of times people say you have to believe in God, and you do. We have to have faith in a Creator. We have to have faith in the equipment that He's made with you and I. And we have to believe in the process of life. And we realize that every great person, every person that's really succeeded in life has done this. They have looked at others, and I think a lot of times the Bible talks about great men of faith and all this, but they believed in the process. They were strong. It was the little things they did every day. They didn't always look back, and say, I failed in this, and this didn't work out right and all that. I realized 60, 90 days ago, I probably could have been doing this, but you know what? 60 or 90 days from now, I will be doing this, because I have made a decision today. And that's why I want to encourage you, because there's an eternity in front of us. Our actions and things we do are going to speak into eternity. We were meant to roar. We were meant to have a great life. We were designed for all that. I believe everything that we were meant to be, the equipment is there. It needs to be programmed properly. And that's where we're hoping that you can plug in, make the deposits, realize that 60 or 90 days from now, you will see the results of your decisions today. And that's where we here at The Better You are always trying to find ways to help you to become the better you. And I thank you for tuning in. You can like and share, and we will see you next class. Thank you.